Section 2 of Advice to Young Men and Boys by Benjamin Comegys. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Life, Its Opportunities and Temptations. March 12, 1885. I propose to speak to you now of some plain and practical duties which await you in life, and as there are many boys here who are anxiously looking for the time when they will leave the college to make their way in the world, some of whom will probably have left the college before I come again, I speak more especially to them, and my first words are words of congratulation, and for these reasons. 1. Because you are young, and this means very much. You have an enormous advantage over people that are your seniors. Other things being equal, you will live longer, and I assume that life is worth living. Then you have the advantage of profiting by the mistakes committed by those who precede you, and if you are not blind, you can avail yourselves of the successes they have achieved. You have the freshness, the zest of youth. You are full of courage and endurance. You can grapple with difficult subjects and with a strong hand, and if you blunder, you have time to recover yourselves and start anew. In short, life is before you, and you look forward with the inspiration of hope, and it may be also of determination. 2. I congratulate you also because you are poor. You have your own way to make in the world. You know already that if you achieve success, it must be because you exert yourselves to the very utmost. Indeed, you must depend upon yourselves, and this means that you must do everything in your power that is right to do to help yourselves. You must understand that there is no royal road to success any more than there is to learning, and that there is no time to trifle. If you were rich men's sons, these remarks would have no special pertinence or importance. My congratulations are quite in order also because very many, if not most of the high places in our country are held by those who were once poor lads. Should you turn upon me and say, why then, if one is to be congratulated on his poverty, do fathers toil early and late, denying themselves needed recreation, not ceasing when they have accumulated a good estate, almost selling their souls to become millionaires? Why do they so much dread to leave their sons to struggle for a living? More than one answer might be given to these questions. Some fathers have so little faith in God's providence that they forget His goodness, which now takes care of their families through the instrumentality of parents, and who can continue that care through other means just as well when the parents are gone. But high authority says that they who will be rich fall into temptations and snares, one of which is that the race for riches unfits the racer for all other pursuits and amusements, and he can't stop his course, he can't change his habits, he has no other mental resources, he must work or perish. Do not then let the fact that you are poor discourage you in the least, it is rather an advantage. 3. But again I congratulate you because your lot is cast in America. Do not smile at this. I am not on the point of flying the American eagle, nor of raising the stars and stripes. It is, however, a good thing to have been born in this country, for in all important respects it is the most favoured of all lands. It is the fashion with certain people to disparage our government and its institutions, and one must admit that in some particulars there might be improvement, and will be some day. But notwithstanding these defects, it is unquestionably true that it is the best government on earth. Is there any country where a poor young man has opportunities as good as he has here to get on in life? Is there any obstacle or hindrance whatever outside of himself in the way of his success? If a young man has good health of mind and body, and a fair English education and good manners, and will be honest and industrious, is he not much more certain to attain success in one way or another in this country than anywhere else? You know he is. Why? Because of our equal rights under the law. There is no caste here, that curse of monarchies. There is no aristocracy in sentiment or in power, no House of Lords, no established church, no law of primogeniture. One man is as good as another under the law as long as he behaves himself. If you want further evidence, only look for a moment at the condition of the seething and surging masses of Europe, and the continual apprehensions of a general war. Before this year, 1885, has run its course, the United States may be almost the only country among the great powers that is not involved in war. And if still further illustration were needed, let me point to that most extraordinary scene enacted in Washington some weeks ago. A great political party which has held control of this government nearly a quarter of a century, and which has exercised almost unlimited power, yields most quietly and gracefully all high places, all dignity, all honour and patronage to the will of the people who have chosen a new administration, and everybody regards it as a matter of course. Was such a thing ever known before, and could such a thing occur anywhere else among the nations? Once more I congratulate you because you live in Philadelphia. Ah, now we come to a most interesting point. Most of you are born here, and you come to this by inheritance. This is the best of all large cities, more to be desired as a place to live in than Washington, the seat of government, the most beautiful of all American cities, or New York with its vast commerce and enormous wealth, or Boston with its boasted intellectual society. They may call us the Quaker city, or the worst paved city, or the slow city, or the city of rows of houses exactly alike, but these houses are the homes of separate families, and in a very large degree are occupied by their owners, and you cannot say as much of any other city in the world, although there are doubtless many instances in the oldest part of the city and among the improvident poor where more than one family will be found in the same house, yet these are the exceptions and not the rule, and so far as I know there is not one tenement house in this great city that was built for the purpose of accommodating several families at the same time. I need not point you to New York and Boston, where the great apartment houses, with their 12 and 14 stories of flats for rich and well-to-do people, prevail, utterly destroying that most cherished domestic life of which we have been so proud, and introducing the life of European cities with its demoralizing associations and results. Nor shall I describe the awful tenement houses in those two cities, where the poor are crowded like animals in a cattle train, suffering as the dumb creatures do for want of air and water and space and everything else that makes life desirable. Of all cities on the face of the earth, Philadelphia is the most desirable for the young man who must make his own way in the world. And having shown you how favorable are the conditions which are about you, the next point is, what will you do when you set out for yourselves? All of you are expecting, when you leave school, to be employed by somebody, or engaged in some business, and I suppose you may be looking to me to give you some hints how to take care of yourselves or how to behave in such relations. I will try to do so plainly and faithfully. I cannot absolutely promise you success. Indeed, it would be necessary first to define the word, and there are several definitions that might be given. One of the shortest and best would be in these words, a life well spent. That's success, and this definition shall be my model. Work hard then at your lessons. Let your ambition be not to get through quickly, not to go over much ground in textbooks, but to master thoroughly everything before you. If you knew how little thorough instruction there is, you would thank me for this. There are so many half-educated people from schools and colleges that one cannot help believing that the terms of graduation are very easy. There have been and are now graduates of colleges who cannot add up a long column of figures correctly, nor do an example in simple proportion, nor write a letter of 4 pages of notepaper without mistakes of grammar and spelling and punctuation, to say nothing of perspicuity and unity and general good taste. It is quite surprising to find how helpless some young men are in the simple matter of writing letters, an art with which, in these days of cheap postage and cheap stationery, almost everybody has something to do. If you doubt this, let me ask you to try tomorrow to write a note of 20 lines on any subject whatever, offhand, and submit it for criticism to your teacher. Do you wonder, then, that an employer, calling one of his young men and directing him to write a letter to one of his correspondents, saying such and such things, and bring it to him for his signature, is surprised and grieved to see that the letter is in such shape that he cannot sign it and let it go out of his office? It is very true that letter writing is not the chief business of life, not the only thing of importance in a counting-house, but it is an elegant accomplishment and most desirable of attainment. Let me say some words about shorthand writing. In this day of push and drive and hurry, when so many things must be done at once, there is an increasing demand for shorthand writers. In fact, business, as now conducted, cannot afford to do this without help. It often occurs that a principal in a business house cannot take the time to write long letters. Why should he? It does not pay to have one that is occupied in governing and controlling great interests, or in the receipt of a large salary, tied to a desk writing letters or reports or statements of any kind. He must talk off these things, and he must be an educated man whose mind is so disciplined to terse and accurate expression that his dictation may almost be taken to be final. He wants a clerk who can take down his words with literal accuracy, and who will be able to correct any errors that may have been spoken, and submit the complete paper to his chief for his signature. The demand for this kind of service is increasing every day, and some of you now listening to me will be so employed. See that you are ready for it when your opportunity comes. If you get to be a clerk in a railroad office, or in an insurance company, or in a store, or in a bank, devote yourself to your particular duties, whatever they may be, and don't be too particular as to what kind of work it is that falls to your lot. It may be work that you think belongs to the porter. No matter if it is, do it, and do it as well as the porter can, or even better. Let none of you, therefore, think that anything you are likely to be called upon to do is beneath you. Do it, and do it in the best manner, and you may not have to do it for a long time. Make yourself indispensable to your employer. You can do that, it is quite within your power, and it may be that you may get to be an employer yourself. Indeed, it is more than probable, but you must work for it. If you get to be a bookkeeper in any counting house or public institution, remember that you are in a position of trust and responsibility. When you make errors, do not erase the error, draw faint red or black lines through it, and write correct characters over the error. Do not hide your errors of any kind. Do not misstate anything in language or figures. Everybody makes errors at some time or other, but everyone does not admit and apologize for them. The honest man is he who does admit and apologize, and does so without waiting to be detected. There have been, of late, some deplorable instances of betrayal of trust in our city. I may as well call it by its right name, stealing. The culprits are now suffering in prison the penalty of their crimes. While I am speaking to you, there are men, young and not young, in our city who are now stealing, and who are falsifying their books, in the vain hope that it may be kept secret, who are dreading the day when they will be caught, who cannot afford to take a holiday, who cannot afford to be sick, lest absence for a single day may disclose their guilt. What a horrible state of mind! They will go to their desks or their offices tomorrow morning, not knowing but it may be their last day in that place. And the day will come most surely when you will be tempted as these wretched ones have been tempted. In what shape the temptation may come, or when, no human being knows. The suggestion will be made that by the use of a little money you may make a good deal, that the venture is perfectly safe. Someone tells you so, and points to this one or that one who has tried it and made money. It is only a little thing, you can't lose much. You may make enough to pay for the cost of your summer holiday, or for your cigar bill or your beer bill, or you will be able to smoke better cigars or drink better beer, or buy a gold watch or a diamond ring or anything else. You can't lose much. You have no money of your own, it is true, but what is needed will not be missed if you take it out of the drawer. Shall you do it? No. Let nothing induce you to take the first dollar, not your own. It is the first step that counts. But suppose you don't care for this warning, or forget it. Suppose the time comes when you find that you have taken something that was not yours, and that it is lost, and that you cannot repay it. What then? Why, go at once to your employer, tell him the whole story, keep back nothing, throw yourself upon his mercy, and ask forgiveness. Better now than later. You will assuredly be caught. There is no possibility of continuous concealment. Tell it now before you are detected, and if you must be disgraced, the sooner the better. Am I too earnest about this? Am I saying too much? Oh, boys, young men, if you knew the frightful danger that you may be in some day, the subtle temptations that will beset you, the many instances of weakness about you, the shipwrecks of character, the utter ruin that comes to sisters and to innocent wives and children by the crimes of brothers, husbands, and fathers, as we who are older know, you would not wonder that I speak as I do. Every case of breach of trust, every defalcation, weakens confidence in human character. For every such instance of wrongdoing is a stab at your integrity if you are in a position of trust. Men of the fairest reputation, men who are trusted implicitly by their employers, men who are hedged about by the sacredness of domestic ties, on whom the happiness of helpless wives and innocent children depend, men who claim to be religious, go astray step by step, little by little. They defraud, steal, lie, try to cover up their tracks, cannot do it, are caught, tried, convicted, sentenced, and imprisoned. Then the question may be asked about you or me. How do we know that Mr. So-and-so is any better than those who have fallen? Don't you see that these culprits are enemies of the public confidence, enemies of society, your enemies and mine? If the names of those who are now serving out their sentences in the public prisons for stealing, not petty theft, but stealing and defrauding in larger sums, could be published in tomorrow morning's papers, what a sad record it would be of dishonoured names, and blighted lives, and ruined homes, and how the memory would recall some whom we knew in early youth the pride of their parents, or the idol of fond wives and lovely children, and we should turn away with sickening horror from the record. But if there should appear in the same papers the names of those who are now engaged in stealing and defrauding and falsifying entries, who are not yet caught, but who may, before this year is out, be caught and convicted and punished, what a horrible revelation that would be. I close abruptly, for I cannot keep you longer, but do not think that it is for your future in this life only that I am concerned. Life does not end here. though it may seem to do so. Our life in this world is a mere beginning of existence. It is the future, the endless life before us, that we should prepare for, and no preparation is worth the name except that of a pure, an upright, and honourable life that depends for its support on the love and the fear of God. You must accept him as your Father, you must honour him and obey him, and so consecrating your young lives to his service, trust him to care for you with his infinite love and care. End of section 2.